Okay, so just a quick recap on the finance part of your common test and the financial section. So you will have questions on simple interest. So I would strongly recommend that we pop these formulas onto your formula sheet. And really the only thing to remember, okay, know that the I represents your simple interest. That's the dollar amount, so the amount of interest that you earn or the bank charges you. So it's a money amount. P, we all know by now, hopefully, is the original amount that you invest or borrow. So it stands for the principal. Rate is your interest rate. So that has to be in percentage, the thing that says percentage, and we put that as a whole number. Don't divide it by 100 because it's in the formula there. And T, you know, is for time, but remember it has to be in years. So if a question has something like 18 months, don't say time is 18. That's going to be 1.5 years. Or if you don't even want to think about that, then just go it's 18 divided by 12, and your calculator will automatically do that for you. All right. If we had something like 200 days, then that means the time would be 200 divided by how many days in a year? 365. So that's really the only tricky thing that a question could do. Now, when you are faced with a question, how much money has been borrowed, if the flat rate, so again, the key word here is flat rate, that's telling you to go simple interest formula, not compound, okay? Flat rate or simple interest, write your information here. So we're going to write I, P, R, T. Make sure that you're showing what information you have that you can then pop that into the formula. All right, because just in case you get something wrong, I will be able to see what you're thinking and you won't lose as many marks. So we can see very easily here that the time is 4 years, so we put the time as 4. The interest rate is 8%, so that becomes the 8 for the rate. The simple interest paid, right? So that's not your principal, that's your interest that you got. So it's 1,600, which means you're trying to find your principal. So we go back up to the formulas that we had here, and the one that says P by itself, we're going to write that down. So we'll write P equals I times 100 over the rate times the time, and all you have to do now is pop that in, your information in. So your interest, you've said, is 1,600. It says times 100, so we pop that there. The rate, right, if you've got all of this information here, makes for a really simple problem, okay? 8 times 4. We go to our calculator, okay, pop that in and you'll get your answer, and just make sure that you do put the units because in this case it's dollars. If you did a similar question and you're finding the time, then please put it in years, and of course the rate would be percentage. So that hopefully is pretty simple, and you know, depending on how you word the question, you could be asked to find the time, the principal, etc. So do what we did there, underline the key points and pop it in your calculator. All right. When it comes to compound, again, we're looking here. As soon as we see that word compounding, then we know that we're looking at the formula future value equals present value 1 plus I to the n. But the great thing is that this is all on your calculator, okay? Now, I'll show you how to do it on the calculator in a minute, but you basically need to find all of this information. Now, for your working, what I need to see is you write down n equals, I equals, and notice it's how the calculator will come up, okay? PV equals, PMT equals, future value equals, and PY, that'll be the same as the CY, which is just underneath it. Okay, so we're going to read the question again. How much does Kathy need? So how much does she need? And that's saying how much does she need now? Okay, so how much will she need now? So that's what we're trying to find. So you'll make sure that that is 0. She wants to collect $50,000. So she wants to have that in the future. So when you read the questions, make sure that you are, you know, saying, do I have it now? Do I want it in the future? Okay. If it was a question where you knew the present value, so if it was you had $10,000 now, remember that you have to make your PV negative. But for this question, it's not finding, it's not that we have the PV, so you don't have to do that in this case. You will see the answer will come up as a negative. Anyway, we keep reading because we need the N. Okay, and it says here we go 3 years. So we go 3, but now we have to check how many times is it compounding. And because it's compounding quarterly, then we must times that by 4. If it was compounding monthly, then we would times by 12. Compounding daily, times by 365, etc., etc. Okay, so let us just remember a couple of things. That for days, we know there's 365 days in a year. If it says monthly, then we're talking 12. If it says weekly, then we've got 52. And if it's fortnightly, then we've got 26. Hopefully that covers, right? Quarterly, we've said is 4. And so don't forget, we pop it here, and then we also have to put it for the PY. The PMT, it's not a PMT question, so it's just 0. And our interest, just pop it in there as 5.2. Don't touch it with anything else. So that's great. How do we pop it in our calculator? Here we go. So we have to go down to the finance section. Okay, we press compound, and then it's as simple as putting in your information. So my memory's not that great. What did we have here? So 3 times 4 and 5.2, so 3 times 4. Okay, notice it does it automatically, 5.2. Our PV was what we were trying to find, so we keep that as 0. Our PMT was 0. Our future value was 50,000. And our PY is 4. Now if you scroll down, you can see the CY changes automatically. All right, so that's groovy. And what are we trying to find? We're trying to find our PV. So it's 42,820. Notice it comes up with a negative. That's fine, just ignore that. So 42,800. So you will then say present value is 42,000, what did we say? 820. Okay, and that's it, right? The question, all they can do is change the words around. So instead of finding PV, you might have to find the N, or you might have to find the I. But please make sure you just read the question, pop all of this stuff in. Make sure if it is that you're given the present value, you make your PV negative. And hopefully you'll remember that. Good luck. Okay.